ていうかこのままじゃ会社に遅れちまう。あれこれってもう今日から会社行かなくてもいいんじゃね。やったー!
Working is something that almost everyone watching this has to do. Not everyone is going to enjoy their job, but I just hope that none of you watching this are experiencing a soul-crushing work culture like the one Tendo was trapped in. Brutally long hours, sleeping at your desk, and not going home for days are a regular occurrence for Tendo. But it wasn't always like that. The show is called ZOM 100, Bucket List of the Dead, and the first time we meet Tendo, he's just a young guy that's full of passion. Fast forward 3 years, and now, the shell of a man before us is not a pleasant sight. Crazy circles in his eyes, with an expression of barely holding himself together as he watches a zombie movie while eating udon at 4 a.m. When he finally slumps over to get some sleep, we see the state of his apartment, and anyone that has experienced a depression nest before can spot one when they see one. But how did this once happy young man reach his life's lowest point? Japanese work culture. For those of you who are unaware, the work culture in Japan can be an incredibly toxic environment. You know that saying you hear at work sometimes that we're all just one big happy family? Well, if you've ever heard that, number one, run. And number two, Japan takes that to a whole new level. Just like every other country, trying to land a good job is difficult since there will always be loads of competition. You work so hard to finally get your foot in the door, but what you couldn't know is the toxic culture festering inside the workplace. Loyalty to your company is almost essential in being seen as a team member and can be used to exploit younger workers that don't know any better yet. Things like not taking all your vacation days and working hundreds of hours of unpaid overtime are common, and sometimes these are rewarded since they show you are willing to make sacrifices for your company, thus creating a work environment that will slowly turn you into a zombie, but it also extends outside of the office. A nomikai is basically one giant office gathering where everyone eats and drinks and is usually held when a new hire joins the team. It's a way to bond with your fellow workers and to generally welcome the new hire into the team. But even though this is an outside of work gathering, employees are expected to show up regardless, to prove your loyalty. This culture of overworking yourself with long hours and then going out at night and drinking with the same people is why Japan's work culture is one that can lead someone to an early grave, or at least make them feel like they would prefer that.
ああ、これ邪魔だな。これがなかったら明日会社行かなくて済むのに。
The last time a first episode blew me away like this was To Your Eternity, but that was because of the looming dread you felt while watching it, leading into the ending we all saw coming. ZOM 100 topped that, but in a different way. A literal roller coaster of emotions happens throughout this episode: happiness, concern, sympathy, disgust, and elation. By the end, I had the biggest smile on my face, and that is all an anime needs to do to keep me coming back for more. But hold on. What does any of this have to do with zombies? The long hours enslaving him at his job literally turns Tendo into a walking zombie, and he is even driven to the point of having thoughts about how not being here might be better, because then he wouldn't have to go back to work. His world is covered in a black shroud because of his job, but then something changes in his life.
ゾンビゾンビでもゾンビだよな。
Literal zombies start chasing him, and at first, he is terrified, but that quickly changes to elation when he realizes that this means he doesn't have to go back to work again. He literally gains his freedom and sees the world in color now. Anything he wants to do is at his disposal. It may be a little harder to do everything, because of the zombies, but that doesn't stop Tendo from enjoying his newfound freedom. What I love about this show is how Tendo endures, which can be seen as enjoying his new life in the zombie apocalypse. Oh, and also, it's so refreshing not having an anime set in high school for once. Each episode explores this new world and shows us something different. One episode focuses on his search for a new TV, while another shows us his shopping trip to go get more beer. During these adventures, we get to see how other survivors are dealing with this new world, and Tendo's interactions with them are the brightest parts of the show. Each episode so far has focused on a side character and lets you see a bit about their life, and Tendo's cute coworker is the one for the first episode. The way Zom 100 slowly breaks Tendo down over the years is brutal, but it's not even as close to as heartbreaking as what happens to his female coworker. She has to endure being sexually assaulted at work constantly, and unfortunately, there's nothing she can really do to stop it without quitting. Tendo has a massive crush on her, and when he realizes he can do anything he wants on his day off, he chooses to confess his feelings he's held onto for the last 3 years. When he goes to her apartment though, he finds his boss there and officially quits his job by pushing his zombie boss out of the window. But if he was a zombie, then that means Tendo is heartbroken his crush is now a zombie, but that's not even the worst part. Even in her last moments alive, she was still being sexually assaulted. Your home is the one place you should feel safe, and even she had that stolen from her. The range of emotions this first episode brings out of you is so rare to find in seasonal anime, but the one I haven't talked about shows up right at the end. Inspiration.
俺たちの命があと1日だろうが、やりたいことをやれる時間はあまりにも短い。
This is the last monologue at the end of the first episode, and it struck me right in the feels, because that's almost word for word how I try to live my life. I've been exactly where Tendo has been, working a job I hate to just try and pay the bills. I never had the terrible Japanese work no life balance, but I did work 3 months straight without a day off, working 2 jobs at one point in my life. That is not how anyone should live. And it's not healthy because it caused me to barely sleep, and when I did sleep, I would literally have stress dreams of being at work. The only reason why I broke that 3-month streak was waking up sick one day and throwing up, forcing me to call in. As soon as I hung up the phone, I felt instantly better knowing I didn't have to work that day. It was almost exactly how Tendo reacted. Well, without the zombies, of course. His philosophy of actually living your life and not spending it at work is what I try to live by. 2 years ago, I took a chance, quit my job, and started my own business that allows me to actually control my schedule, and I have never felt more free to just live my life. I could just take any weekend off that I want when I get invited somewhere, something I previously would have had to plan months in advance. I may not have a safety net of a weekly paycheck and have to do literally everything myself, but does anyone truly have a safety net? We all experienced a hopefully once-in-a-lifetime pandemic that forced countless people to have to stop working. There's no guarantee in life that we will even wake up tomorrow, and I've embraced that philosophy. It just took this anime to make me realize just how happy I am with my life right now. Since Tendo has all the time in the world, he decides to write down all the things he wants to do before becoming a zombie, and thus you have an anime. But I do want to ask, what would you do if you never had to work again? I think that is an important question we need to ask ourselves every now and then. The harsh truth is that we will all die one day, so what do you want to do before that day inevitably comes? Do you want to get married, travel the world, or make something that you will be remembered for? Death will come for us all. Zom 100 takes that literally, but for us, that shouldn't be something you should fear. I think it should motivate you. Go and do the things you want to do, no matter what. I know it's cheesy, but try sitting down and actually thinking about either where you want your life to be at, or what you want to experience in this life. Zom 100's entire premise is about Tendo completing his bucket list, and that's how I think everyone should be able to live their life. I've taken risks that have panned out better than I could have imagined, when 5 years ago, I thought I was just going to be stuck in retail hell, being a wage slave my whole life. If an idiot like me can make it happen, then I know you can do it. Don't let life pass you by, but instead, dictate how you want yours to pan out. We are all given one shot at this life, and I'm going to make sure that I have as few regrets as I possibly can. That's how Tendo is living his life, and I absolutely love how much I relate to him. That's why Zom 100 is my favorite anime of the summer 2023 season.